Hello and a good day to you. Hope you had yourself an amazing Monday and, of course, an amazing weekend. This is the Black Hot Fire Monday updates with me, Dimore. Of course, I'm here to tell you about each and everything that was making the headlines all over Africa today and especially over the weekend. I hope you had yourself an amazing weekend. You've rested and are ready for the week. I was never here on Saturday because of unavoidable circumstances, but we're here to tell you about each and everything that was making headlines all over Africa. We're going to be looking at Uganda. That will be our main focus, with Museveni telling protesters that the ones who are organizing the protests, he said, you are playing with fire. So he has warned against protests that are supposed to be happening this week. Ugandans, like many other countries where the unrest has started happening. You saw what happened in Bangladesh. I guess you saw the videos from Bangladesh where young people went to the streets and did a big one on the government. Nigerians, the same. The Nigerian president had to double their minimum wage so as to prevent them from going to the streets. So literally every African president is on the lookout as of now, including Uganda's Yoweri Museveni, who has been in power since 1986. He was recorded in a video saying that those who are planning the protests are playing with fire. And he said that they're going to face it if they press ahead with the plans to stage an anti-corruption march to the parliament. It's supposed to be happening tomorrow. Young Ugandans have been organizing the march on social media to demand an end to corruption in government. The unrest really, let me call it unrest because it's an unrest that has been happening. Unrest in that the norm, people are going against the norm. The norm is getting destroyed. The norm was leaders can do anything and leaders can get away with anything. The politicians can literally vomit on us and there's nothing that we can do about it. That was the norm in majority of Africa, in the whole of Africa. But now if you look at it, for example, in Tanzania, I'm going to be telling you about this in a minute. The Tanzanian president had to fire several CSS, the foreign, he had to fire several ministers, let me call them ministers, including the foreign minister, the ICT minister. She had to make changes. Even in her own, everybody right now, every African politician is on the lookout. Because what happened, I actually saw a video of, it was supposed to be a comedy, but it was more of realistic, of some presidents calling Ruto and telling him that he set them up by following what the young people are saying. So now the young people in their countries are also demanding for the same. And what started as a joke, what started as just a social media hashtag, what started as what the government described as digital wanking, has translated not just in one country but in several other African countries. Who knew that there would come a day? I don't care if the protest is going to happen in Uganda tomorrow or not. It might not happen, considering Uganda is not Kenya and Uganda is still, things like constitutionalism in Uganda alien. Kenya is a bit more developed, advanced, constitutionally, democratically, not yet there, but a bit more. So I doubt the Ugandan protest will happen, and if it happens, it will be with a small magnitude. But the fact that we are seeing people in Uganda with their president being Yoweri Museveni, don't think people understand who Yoweri Museveni is. But the fact that we're seeing people courageous enough right now to plan, doesn't matter whether it's going to be executed. This was unheard of several years ago, because who would dare plan a demo against Museveni? How many people have we seen getting arrested on live television in Uganda? Like that lawyer who was screaming, saying, leave me alone. Let me see. The fact that we can't really ignore when we talk about the revolutionization of Africa. One thing that the year 2024 is going to be a very, very important year, because it was the year that Africans realized, really, the African youth, to be honest, realized that the power actually belongs to them. That everything else is secondary, they're the ones who hold the power. So I'm trying to look for the video of a certain Ugandan lawyer who was arrested on television, who was screaming on TV. So for the fact that right now we can start seeing even people organizing demos in Tanzania, people organizing demos in it's an indicator that people have started to know that the power actually belongs to them. So here was a video of Museveni over the weekend.
Talking of demonstrations, what? Demonstrate, when you demonstrate in a place like Kampala, people are sitting on the roadside. They are sitting on the roadside. When I pass by boys there, they have got their chairs on the roadside. Are you going to step in people's products or trample their chairs, their furniture? You are playing. Do not have such ideas in your head. If you have got some good ideas, there was a time when Nakarema some time ago organized us, and on a weekend, on a Sunday when there was nobody on the road, we walked to Kororo, and we were talking about corruption. So if you want, contact Nakarema on a day when there is no Sunday, there's no traffic here in the center. At least we can go to Kororo and talk nicely about whatever we want to talk about, but do not bring. Don't be tempted to bring chaos, step on people's products on the road. Do you have to seek to generate chaotic behavior? What right do you have? We are busy producing wealth.
Yes. Museveni asked Ugandans, what right do you have to? The big shout out to General Mosquito, who's with me and he's asking me what happened to you on Saturday. Unfortunately, I was not able to do my show, so I'll be extending my next Saturday one. So Museveni asked the Ugandans, what right do you have to go to the streets and demonstrate? And he told them, if you want to demonstrate, look for a day when there are no people selling anything on the streets and go demonstrate on that day, but do not play with fire. This is the problem we have in Africa. The problem that I wouldn't call it rigidness, but I would call it inability to read the room. Inability to read the room is the problem. Because if I was an African president, I would read the room. I would do what Tinubu has been trying to do. I would be doubling wages right now. I would be firing my cabinet. I would be trying to save my face, not threaten people, telling them that they are playing with fire. Tomorrow they might not go to the streets. They might actually buy the fear tomorrow. But for how long are you going to sell the fear to the people of Uganda? You've done that from 1986. How much longer do you think they're going to buy the fear in this age and era, in this digital era where they are seeing what is happening in Kenya, they are seeing what is happening they're seeing what is happening in Bangladesh, they are seeing what is happening in Nigeria. For how long are you going to sell the fear? And General Mosquito is saying, can you turn on the subtitles for this guy? I don't understand a word he's saying. Okay, I'll turn on the subtitles. But the Ugandan accent is actually a very simple one to hear. So you have been selling fear since 1986. You're still using the same old tactics, the same old routes on a new forest, and that is not going to work. Not warning them, not threatening them. This is a time for you to read the room and for you to try save your face. That is why Suluhu today fired several people. Haven't you been watching and seeing what has been happening in Africa and the panic that is there at the moment? And the fire that has been spreading and the awakening and the collective consciousness. And so I really think I'm not a political advisor, but this is a very ill advised move to take a threatening. It happened in Kenya. Learn from Kenya. The first day when the parliament was invaded, I remember the president did a press conference and said that the criminals, he actually used the word criminal, he said the criminals who are involved will be punished. Borrow a leaf from Kenya and see what happened after that, after the threat of calling young people criminals. Go read and see what happened in Kenya after that. Because for people who feel like you've been vomiting on them, for people who feel that like you've been oppressing them for the longest, then that is somebody with nothing to lose, really. And the worst thing you can do is provoke them further. That is the worst thing you can do. The worst thing you can do is turn up when, as a leader, you should know when to tone down. I know when I say as a leader, I'm giving them too much credit, but you should know when to tone down. You should know when to sit down and listen. You should know when not to threaten people, because this is really not the right time for that. In this era, might have worked in 2001, might have worked in 1994, might work tomorrow, as I said, but won't work for long. So let me turn on the subtitles but they are unavailable, unfortunately, General Mosquito, so that you can just hear Museveni once again issuing threats to the people of Uganda. He told Maria to dare walk in the streets if she dares.
When you hear people talking of demonstrations, demonstrate, when you demonstrate in a place like Kampala, people are sitting on the roadside. They are sitting on the roadside. When I pass by boys there, they have got their chairs on the roadside. Are you going to step in people's products or trample their chairs, their furniture? You are playing. Do not have such ideas in your head. If you have got some good ideas, there was a time when Nakarema some time ago organized us, and on a weekend, on a Sunday when there was nobody on the road, we walked to Kororo and we were talking about corruption. So if you want, contact Nakarema on a day when there is no Sunday, there's no traffic here in the center. At least we can go to Kororo and talk polite, nicely about whatever we want to talk about, but do not bring. Don't be tempted to bring chaos, step on people's products on the road. Do you have to seek to generate chaotic behavior? What right do you have? We are busy producing wealth. You are getting cheap food. Other people in the other parts of the world are starving. They are crying for hunger. And you here, you want to disturb us. You are playing with fire because we cannot allow you to disturb us. And it is very unfair of you. You don't ask yourself, these people who are doing.
Yeah, so he said that you should not disturb them when they're making wealth, which is true, they're making wealth. But the question is, who are they making wealth for? And I was looking at the Ugandan side of Twitter and I'm impressed, seriously. Looks like the Ugandans are still on with the protests tomorrow. They're still on with the march. The problem with this march is that, unlike before, when Museveni could actually pinpoint at who was organizing and, of course, do that thing to him, right now he can't, because it's a legion, it's a multitude of organizers. And they have even gone ahead and for example, the official opposition party in Uganda is the NUP, if I'm not wrong. Not so familiar with Ugandan politics really, but the Bobby Wine leads the NUP, if I'm not wrong. And I was seeing him posting on how they have converted the NUP headquarters into a military base. There is so much police deployment because they think, like I said, their biggest downfall will be their inability to read the room. So they think that the protests that are going to be happening tomorrow are as a result of Bobby Wine's party. The NUP is the one organizing the protest, and therefore they have barricaded the NUP headquarters and, of course, deployed a lot of police officers on the same because they think that that is the organizers. Bobby Wine told them, "I'm not the one organizing the Tuesday protest. I support them, but I'm not even the one organizing. This is an issue to do with the corruption that has been happening, and you can't." And I saw Museveni asking, "Under what right are you going in the streets to demonstrate?" And I said, maybe in the Ugandan constitution, they are not allowed to. Maybe that provision is not there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's Uganda. So I thought maybe that provision. So I had to check to see if that is allowed in the constitution, and it is. Um, although the first thing that you read when you search that is the right of peaceful assembly is not generally respected in Uganda. Protests may end up being fatal. That is the first thing that I tell you. So even though it is a provision, it has actually never been had before. Have Ugandans ever been on the streets protesting? Has anybody ever had the courage to organize a protest in Uganda since 1986? Because I understand the former opposition leader in Uganda, Kizza Besigye, was always in Kenya, in Kenyan hospitals, tear gassed, beaten up, broken bones. I think Bobby Wine is the lucky one. They've not really massaged him as much as they did with the other opposition leader back then. However, as I said, I was going through the Ugandan side of Twitter and I was impressed because they, 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 they still hold that they're going to be out tomorrow. The hashtag is Uganda Parliament Exhibition. No, that's not the hashtag. That was a campaign that they launched in Feb this year that was showing the abuse of public funds, the nepotism, and the corruption that has been happening in Uganda. Sorry, so that was the hashtag that because the social media has become a center of accountability, really. Where, for example, if I know a certain corruption case happening somewhere, all I'm gonna do is post it there, and so many other people will. So the hashtag tomorrow is March to Parliament. That is the Ugandan hashtag, and it's a replica of the Kenyan one, really, from the posters to the organization to the hashtags to it starting on social media and especially on Twitter. And you have to give credit to Elon Musk, by the way, even though he's a system, I would say a system plant for lack of a better word. Twitter and TikTok are a bit more freer of the media as compared to YouTube. For example, I might say something on YouTube and it's gonna get flashed down, but for something to be really flashed down on Twitter, it takes a lot of it's really hard, although it happens. And also the fact that now people can fight propaganda, I know, with the introduction of community notes, for example. So in as much as that man is an industry plant or whatever, I would say Twitter is a freer social media platform in comparison to the likes of YouTube, in comparison to the likes of other social media platforms. So most of the African revolutions actually started on Twitter, and then the same translated to TikTok, because the audience that is there on Twitter is different from the audience that is there on TikTok, but most of them have started on Twitter and translated on TikTok. So the only way to stop these revolutions is maybe killing the whole of the internet, which is impossible, because otherwise the people now, their eyes have opened up and who can see through bullshit, for lack of a better word. and it's all about changing the norms. Now it's all about upsetting the already set systems, all of them. That is what has been happening really, and that is why I'm hopeful on the Ugandans demos tomorrow. I'm banking on them. I hope they will be successful. In Tanzania, as I was telling you, the Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu, fired a few ministers in the new changes. Let nobody lie to you that she's doing this because of anything other than fear. So she fired the country's foreign affairs minister and his ICT counterpart. She announced the changes yesterday evening and replaced them with other people. And she also replaced the deputy foreign minister, and of course some other few changes here and there in the government. Because I told you, let nobody lie to you that the changes that you're seeing in Africa are as a result of anything else other than fear. Let nobody lie to you that Tinubu doubled the minimum wages of workers in his country because he loves them. It's fear. They were about to go to the streets. Now he needed something to massage them, to bring down. At least, I'm going to give it to him, at least he read the room, unlike Museveni. That is not going to stop Nigerians. It's only going to stop them for a while. And then they're going to realize the minimum wage, the $44, is still peanuts. They now need 80. So they're still going to go to the streets. The same way in Kenya, when the finance bill was rejected, some people relaxed and then they were like, no, but we can get more. We can have a more accountable country. We can have better policies. We can have a more transparent government. So we're going back. So even in Nigeria, I'm going to give it to that old man. I never knew he can read the room, but he did. And he doubled the salaries there. And now the minimum wage is $44. Still peanuts, really, but at least he bought himself a few weeks at best. After which they're gonna realize the $44 is not even much, and this is a very rich country, and we have a lot of oil and we have a lot of money and a lot of minerals. I should not be earning $44 in an African country, and now you'll have to raise it to 80, and then they'll turn down for 2 weeks, then realize $80 is still not enough. I'm an African, I should be rich, and then go back again. So we are headed to a situation where it doesn't matter really what these African leaders are gonna do. The unrest will be, I would say, too stirred up for it to be contained. Because an example is in Kenya. I don't think there's anything that the president can do to stop the protest at this point. Totally. He did away with the entire cabinet. People still went back to the streets. He can fire everybody tomorrow, they still go back. So the genie is too out of the bottle for it to be taken back. And that is going to be the problem in not just in most African countries. It will be a situation where you can no longer, it's beyond your control. Even as a African president, it's beyond you. Because it doesn't matter what you do, the people are still going to demand better, as they should. Still going to demand for more accountability, for better standards of living. So it's just a matter of time. I don't think there's anything that can change that. No amount of PR, no amount of whatever Suluhu is doing. It's gonna take you Tanzanians another few months for them to see and ask questions and wonder how come those ones live better than us. I mean, we are not supposed to be living like that, like this. We're supposed to be living like that. So it's what started as a digital revolution, what started as what was termed as digital wanking, might end up being what liberates Africa, the young people. And as a Darko said in 1962, that the liberation of one African country is the liberation of Africa. That was true. If one country gets liberated fully, then that is the liberation of Africa. Because of the collective consciousness, because of the digital social media era that we are in right now, people are gonna actually see changes. You know, somebody will be chilling in Lagos and they'll see a video of the demos in Kenya, and in another few months they'll see the development that has taken place, and they'll wonder why can't we do the same to Tinubu? Maybe the old man is gonna listen. So I don't think there's anything at this point. I'm not even blaming Museveni anymore for not reading the room, because even if he did, he would buy himself at best a few months. Then they'll be back in the streets. It's a situation of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Nothing that they can do can take back the genie inside the bottle. We're talking about years and years of oppression, years and years of being pushed on the wall, years and years of a time bomb brewing. You trying to fix that with a PR stunt, with a speech, with a few changes in the cabinet, with a, I'm not just talking about Kenya, I'm talking about the whole of Africa. You really can't take away the damage that has been done over that long by a few talks, PR stunts, and interviews. Unfortunately, it's too late for that. That was Uganda. Let us brush through other headline hitters from Africa as I come to the end. Of course, we had President Biden resigning yesterday, and that, of course, has brought a lot of debate. I'll leave Joby to talk about that. She's more familiar with the US politics than I am. I don't really care what happens in the US as much as what is happening in Africa. So, apart from that, what else was happening today? Not a lot, really, apart from Nigerians who received a loan last year, and now they are working on a new oil refinery, which I'm gonna be telling you about tomorrow. There's a new oil refinery that they are working on, which is going to see them earn a lot of money because they are a big oil producer, but they have not been getting the required money to the required. No, they have not been getting the money they should be getting from the oil. Apart from that, in Kenya, not a lot was also happening today in Kenya, apart from maybe the introduction of expiry date in ID cards, which is alien, which Kenyans have never heard about, and it has brought a lot of discussion on why should my ID card expire. I mean, I'm the same person I was 10 years ago. Do you mean my ID card has expired? However, the government has come out to say that ID card renewal every 10 years is standard in other countries like France, and Kenyans were very quick to remind him that this was not France, and the economic situations in the two countries are not even the same. So, apart from that, in the Ugandan, but they have not finished the Ugandan video. And Museveni warning protesters against strikes tomorrow. Kenyans will also be back in the streets tomorrow. They made it every Tuesday. Tomorrow, they say they're going to be occupying JKIA. They're going to occupy the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and paralyze all domestic, international travel will not take place tomorrow. That is according to the memo that they released. So tomorrow it's going to be Occupy JKIA in Kenya. There's going to be Occupy March to Parliament in Uganda. I'm not gonna lie, I like it. I actually I totally love what is happening in Africa, and how I hope we can actually make Tuesday the demonstration day for the whole of Africa. You know, we make Africa stop until, you know, and I saw somebody say we cannot start talking because somebody was asking if we continue the demonstrations like this, what about our future? You know, and somebody said we cannot have a future without a now. Right now, we don't have a now. So stop lecturing us about our future when we actually don't have a now. Why don't we first fix the now? Because the now is dead. So was the then. Then we're gonna think about the future after we've fixed the now. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. A big shout out to General Mosquito and of course everybody else who was with me on YouTube and on Facebook, and of course on the stream. Job is coming up with in a bit. I know today she has a lot, especially with Biden retiring, not retiring really, stepping down on the vying for the next election, and of course Harris coming in, and of course a lot has been happening in United States. So make sure you join her. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's always a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. Much love.